Thank you for joining us this afternoon for this 48th Congressional District Candidate Forum. We want to extend a special thank you for the Ocean Hills Defending Democracy Community Group for their help in initiating and promoting this forum, and the Ocean Hills Country Club for offering this venue. My name is Christine Dicken. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego, and I'm your moderator for this event. I want to welcome and thank the candidates who accepted our invitation to participate. The League was founded in 1920 when women first gained the right to vote. The League was then and still is today strictly nonpartisan. We never endorse or oppose any political party or candidate for public office, although we do sometimes, in a completely separate arm of the League, our advocacy arm, take positions on vital issues. Our guiding principles for candidates forums are to provide a fair and impartial platform for candidates to speak directly to voters and for voters to learn about the candidates' positions and priorities. To assure impartiality, none of the League question sorters, the timers, nor I live or vote in the 48th Congressional District. All participants, including the candidates in the Ocean Hills Defending Democracy Community Group, have agreed to our ground rules. Here's a quick overview of those ground rules. Today's event is not a debate, nor is it a rally. Candidates will be asked questions, and they have agreed to focus their answers on their own priorities and positions, rather than commenting about other candidates' qualifications, character, or activities. It bears repeating that this means candidates agreed to refrain from attacking or otherwise making negative comments about other candidates or officials. As you can see, our rules call for civility, not only on the part of the candidates, but also you, the audience. We ask for your cooperation in treating each other with courtesy and respect. And audience members, we specifically ask that you not applaud or otherwise express positive or negative reactions to candidate remarks. At the end of the forum, we will all be able to applaud the candidates. Thank you for your help in assuring a civil discussion of the important issues that confront our communities. We are video recording this forum and will post it on our YouTube channel within 48 hours. You can link to it by visiting our website, lwvncsd.org. No other video recording of this forum is allowed other than that expressly authorized in advance in writing by the League per FCC requirements. This also includes audio or video recording on cell phones. Our League volunteers that you'll see in the hall will be ensuring that this rule is not violated by anyone in the audience. As a matter of courtesy, we also ask you to turn off your cell phones. We thank you, audience, for your cooperation. Now let me take a moment to explain the format of the forum. Today, we will hear from these 8 candidates running for a 2-year term to serve as a U.S. Congressional Representative of the 48th District. We have candidate Clemens, candidate Van Wilpert, candidate Reyna, candidate Riker, candidate Contreras, candidate O'Neill, candidate Campa-Najjar, and candidate Chavez. All 12 candidates running for this office were invited to participate. 4 candidates either did not respond to our invitation or missed the deadline. We will start with 1-minute opening statements from each candidate. The order in which the candidates are speaking was determined by a random draw prior to the forum. After opening statements, we will begin the question and answer period. Today's questions primarily came from those of you who submitted them online. Our trained question sorters have grouped questions by topic, eliminated duplicates and those not relevant to the office being sought, and any that are inappropriate. If you would like to submit a question, raise your hand, and a volunteer will bring you a card and a pencil. Write your question on the card, raise your hand again, and a volunteer will collect it and deliver it to the sorters who will integrate it as appropriate with previously submitted questions. Due to the number of questions we've already received, I may not be able to ask every question, but I'll do the best I can. Candidates will be advised up front how much time they have to respond to each question. The order in which candidates respond to questions will be rotated. Along with the usual question and answer format, we're going to do some different things. I have included speed rounds, where the candidates will be asked to respond to a question with a simple one-word or one-sentence answer. Due to the number of candidates, I will also break the candidates into two groups of 4 candidates occasionally. One group will respond to one question, and another 4 will respond to a similar question on the same topic. I'll let you know up front when we are doing that. At the end of the question and answer portion of the forum, each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement. Our timers will raise yellow warning signs to let candidates know the time left. They will raise a red sign when the candidate's time is up, and then candidates must wrap up their answers when the time is up or they will be cut off. So let's get started with the opening statements. The first random draw means that candidate Clemens is going first.
Should I stand up or should I just stay sitting down? Okay. Number one, thank you for having me to the League of Women Voters of North County. I'm not a politician. I haven't run for office before. One of the things that I was seeing is that people are kind of fed up with politics and politicians at the moment. So I decided to run. I felt my experience might do well running for Congress or being in Congress. At the federal level, we're seeing another war. We're seeing gas prices go up. We're seeing the cost of health care and even talks of cutting Medicare and benefits. So in California, we're seeing homelessness. We're seeing the high cost of housing. So my experience, I thought my experience would lend well. I have a background in both the private and the public sector. I was an assistant superintendent in San Diego County, and I was all over San Diego County working with schools and school districts and students. And after that, I was an executive for the Sacramento Municipal Utility District. That was fast. I was trying to get it all in. I kept seeing the signs go up.
Thank you. Thank you. Candidate Von Wilbert, please.
Thank you, and hello everybody. Thanks for being here. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. My name is Marnie Von Wilpert. I am running for Congress to beat Jim Desmond and flip this seat red to blue so we can go stand up to Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. We need someone who's going to fight for our communities, and I've spent my career fighting for us. I grew up here in San Diego County. I even got my gold award as a Girl Scout, helping homeless individuals my senior year of high school. I then served abroad in the Peace Corps, and I will be the second Peace Corps volunteer in Congress. We need more Peace Corps volunteers. I also have been fighting my whole life to protect our environment. I got to sue Monsanto when they poisoned our waterways and got $50 million back from them, and I will stand up for sustainability and climate action in Congress. I've made our communities safer by passing the first law in California banning untraceable ghost guns, and won when the local gun lobby sued me in court, and I'm going to make take that fight to Congress as well. I've also been working to lower the cost of living, and I'm going to take that fight too. So thank you for being here. Let's go take the fight to D.C.
Okay, so now we have candidate Reyna.
Hi, my name is Luis Reyna. I'm born and raised here in the Inland Empire, resident of Hemet. I've been a medic with the California National Guard for the last 6 years. This was my last year in the National Guard, which is why I was able to run for this office. What I've seen in the 48, there's a lot of misrepresentation. There's a lot of need. There's a lot of opportunity in our district. And as I look around here in the room, I see a lot of absentee voters, and I just want to say that right now your votes are the ones that are under attack the most. And through the advocacy work that I do, through another league that I'm involved with, LULAC, we are suing the administration to protect your votes. And so we need more leadership that's going to stand up for you, for your rights, to protect you, and ensure that we can continue to afford life here in California, that we can continue to afford our livelihoods, to put our kids through school, to afford homes, to build more homes. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Riker?
Well, thank you all, and thank you for having this forum. My name is Brandon Riker. I'm a fourth-generation Californian. I'm a small business owner. I'm a former Obama staffer. And when I am elected, I will be the only trained economist in the House of Representatives. We might want one. There's 435 members. We have 180 lawyers. We've got a football coach. We even got a rodeo announcer. But we know of anyone who knows how to tackle the economy. I got my start in politics at 16 years old, knocking on doors for Wesley Clark's presidential campaign. That led to an internship for John Kerry. And then when I was a sophomore in college, I got the phone call that changed my life. Would I drop out to go work for this guy by the name of Barack Obama, who was going to go run for president? I spent a year and a half working on that campaign, organizing in 8 states. I ran Western Montana for the party when we flipped the state. And I'd be beyond honored to be your congressman. I'm running on the economy, making the first $50,000 people earn tax-free, removing the FICA cap at $184,000 so we can make Social Security solvent for generations to come and start solving the real problems in this country. So there can be a Democratic majority for longer than 4 years, which is the longest it's ever existed in my entire life. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Contreras?
Hi, everyone. My name's Karina Contreras. I'm a council member in the city of Vista, just right here. And in 2018, I ran because I saw the need after Trump 1.0. And now we're in Trump 2.0. In 2019, I was Woman of the Year. In 2022, I was the San Diego Democratic Party's Legislator of the Year. In 2025, I was San Diego Bike Coalition's Elected Official of the Year. And it's because I do the hard work. I connect people to the resources that they need. And as your representative in Congress, I'm fighting for Medicare for all, for whole body wellness, mental, vision, dental. We need to make sure that folks are better connected to the resources that they need to thrive. Expanding public transit is critical, making sure that our community can age in place, and holding this criminal administration accountable to all the unconstitutional and illegal acts, both domestically and abroad. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill?
Yes, my name is Kevin O'Neill. I'm founder, chairman, CEO of Cyber Research Corporation based in San Diego. I'm a cyber warfare expert, and I've been invited back to SoCon several times to talk about the future of cyber warfare. I've been active top secret clearance. The number one concern is corruption in government. I experienced this personally with the attacks on my family, my mother. My mother served for 24 years as a Marine Corps spouse and mother. She was denied her survivor benefit plan that was ordered by the court. The person who failed to help my mother was Daryl Issa. So I filed a complaint with Congress to remove this man or make him accountable. The only person that helped my mother was Senator Dianne Feinstein. May she rest in peace. She stood up for her. She fought for her. She got the government to send the paperwork. But after she died, the Department of War said, we made a mistake. Is that wrong? Of course it's wrong. Thank you.
Okay. Candidate Campa-Najjar?
Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ammar. I am the proud descendant of Palestinian and Mexican immigrants. I'm a proud United States naval officer in the reserves and a former Obama administration official who worked on policies that helped our lives, like the Affordable Care Act. But I've also seen how government can fail us. President Trump ran on 2 things, lower costs and no more wars. He's done the complete opposite. He's lied to us. And instead of spending money to bomb schools and hospitals in other countries, we should be spending that money to build schools and hospitals right here in our district. Instead of spending money to fund ICE attacking working people, Americans, residents, we should be spending that money to fund and fix our broken immigration system. I'm like you. I don't trust our current elected officials. But the good thing is that we could get new ones. So if you be my voice this election, I will be your voice in Congress. I'll work every day to lower costs, raise wages, take on our too expensive health care system, and fight for your families as if they were my own. So I hope to have your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez?
Hello, everyone. My name is Abel Chavez. I am running for CA48. Thank you all for having me. I'm running because I have grown up in this district. I've lived here my whole life. I'm raising my 3 young boys here. I studied at UCR to become a teacher. I got my master's in education, taught physics and chemistry, and I saw how many bright young students weren't getting a great education. So I ran for school board, beat out a Republican incumbent with 10 times more money than I had. And not only that, that school board elected me to be president. I got $30,000 in funding for our students. I'm fighting for trades, to bring back the trades back into our schools. I'm fighting to get us Medicare for all. And I'm fighting to take ICE out of our streets and to hire more judges so that we can process people humanely. People are not political chess pieces. I don't take any money from corporations, and I don't take any money from foreign lobbies. Thank you so much. I would be honored to earn your vote.
Thank you all for your opening statements. We're going to ask that you stay seated because especially with the speed rounds and stuff, they could get really crazy jumping up and down. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go to the topic of representation. And it's going to be, you'll have 1 minute to answer this question. And I'll call on the people because we didn't remember we said it'd be random. So we're going to be doing that. What do you think is the most important issue facing the 48th District? And what actions would you take to address that issue? And candidate Chavez, you'll be going first.
As a teacher, I think the most important issue is starting from scratch with our students. The most important issue is to get our students a good education again. And I've seen it. We are not giving them a good education. If students are doing well, we need to accelerate them through college. So in the school district where I'm a school board member, we created an early college high school, and we have actually been able to get our students AA degrees and IGETSs before they even graduate from high school. And this saves them money on college. They've saved half of their tuition immediately. That's how you're going to get money into the pockets of our economy. Beyond that, we need, if they're not going to go to college, we need to recognize that early and give them a trade. Electricians, barbers, whatever have you, chefs, plumbers. We need to be able to train our students to learn something that they can do for our economy. That's the most important issue.
Thank you. We will, please remember to stay seated. We'll now go with candidate Campa-Najjar.
Thanks for saying my name right, by the way. Kudos to you. It's tough stuff to do. Look, I think the job of a Congress member is to be there for you on your worst day. You're coming to us when nobody else has been able to deliver for you. This is a district that's a border district, and it's a military district. It's the biggest military community in the country. So I think what our district needs is to keep the promise to not get into more foreign wars and to lower costs. And what I think we should do is look at our federal budget. It's trillions of dollars, and we have to reprioritize that. Instead of spending that money on corporate welfare, we could be spending that money on child care. We could be spending that money to make sure that your kids and grandkids could get a first-time home so that that spare bedroom that you have for them, that you could free it up and have them live in a home of their own so they could build wealth, right? But before Trump and before this war, the cost of gas was already through the roof. And so we've had our current elected officials fail us at every rung of government. Our job in Congress is to represent you, to take on the casework that you need on a day-to-day basis, whether it's VA loans or Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. So we have to stand up to Trump and also deliver for our community at the same time. It's a tall order.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
We are in a cyber war. We're all being spied on daily. We don't have any privacy. We have data breaches, 5.5 billion last year. We have no control over our information. You know why that is? Because our lawmakers are bought and paid for by Google, by large corporations. We have no privacy in this country. And simply saying that as your representative, I will forward stronger data protection laws and investments in safe AI, not this terror that's coming.
Thank you. Again, please stay seated. All right. Candidate Contreras.
So we're in this new community together, and we know that North San Diego County and Riverside, we're completely disconnected from one another. Folks have been pushed into Riverside because they can't afford to live here. And then we haven't built the infrastructure that allows people to connect to their family and friends faster than staying stuck in traffic for 2 or more hours just one way. So if we look at domestically here, the infrastructure that we have needs to be modernized. And one of the things that I've been able to do in the city of Vista is have surplus, millions of dollars of surplus in our budget, and I'm reinvesting that in our community to make it stronger and safer. And abroad, we need to stop giving our economic power to foreign governments that are killing innocent people. It destabilizes the globe. It makes it much more unaffordable here. And I'm here to stand up to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Riker.
So President Trump was wrong when he said that affordability was a hoax, but it's quickly becoming a buzzword. What we have is a cost of living crisis. And in this district, it looks very different from where you are, like each part of it. So in Palm Springs and areas, it might be Social Security, making sure that it's solvent for years to come. In places like Idlewild, Temecula, Hemet, it could be fire insurance. People don't need help getting a home. What they need is help staying in their home. And part of this area, Escondido, San Marcos, Vista, it might be young people trying to get a home because they've been forced out of the city of San Diego because they can't afford rent anymore. So what I'm calling for, and what I think is really important, is it's not just one policy. We have to have a second New Deal in this country. And that's where I come down on the first $50,000 being tax-free. It's a 7% pay raise for every worker in this country. They can decide whether they want to use it on child care, homeowners insurance, help with Social Security. And then we need to make sure Social Security is solvent because everyone should be able to retire with dignity in this country. And that is what I am running on, and that is what I will accomplish as your member of Congress.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Candidate Reyna.
Well, as you can hear, we have a multitude of problems we need to tackle in this district. And from what I've seen, these are systemic problems that have been going on for years and years and years. And it's not just a Democrat problem or a Republican problem. This is an everybody problem. Everybody buys gas. Everybody pays for food. Everybody pays for rent. Everybody pays for utilities. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. And that's what we need to protect. That's what we need to tackle. We have too many problems in our district. We have a lot of solutions that are achievable that we haven't because of the political corruption, because of the stonewalling and the red tape that we have to go through. So we definitely need to start better fast-tracking these services, especially for veterans, especially for seniors, and especially for those who are disabled. Thank you.
Thank you. Von Wilbert, please. Candidate Von Wilbert.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe that the greatest threat to all of the voters in our home districts here in 48 is the chaos and corruption coming out of Trump's White House. I'm not waiting to Congress to fight back. I led the city of San Diego to take a vote to join the city of Minneapolis and sue ICE and the Department of Homeland Security to stop these un-American ICE raids in our community. I'm the chair of public safety for the city of San Diego, the 8th largest city in the nation. I flipped my district red to blue in 2020 and won re-election, so I know how to beat Republicans. What we're seeing with ICE is not law enforcement. It's absolute chaos. I'm also seeing people struggling to afford the cost of living in our communities. I helped write the first law in the nation requiring grocery stores not to force us to download a freaking digital coupon on an app just to get $3 off the price of milk or eggs so that all of us can get lower prices on groceries. Meanwhile, I'm watching Donald Trump raise our costs through these tariffs and his corruption in D.C., his gilded ballroom. What about the $1 billion of taxpayer money he's spending a day on a foreign war that could be used for Social Security and Medicare here in our country?
Thank you. Candidate Clemens.
In addition to all of those problems, we also need to start talking about jobs and job creation and economic development. California has the highest unemployment rate right now of any state in the country. That's a tragedy. We have to attract business. We have to have tax laws that will keep business and small business in our communities and encourage small business because they're the backbone of business right now in hiring. How are people supposed to afford anything if they don't have the income and able to afford it? And then with AI coming, I don't know if you all saw in the news today, Oracle just laid off 30,000 employees. AI is going to start taking jobs, and nobody is talking about it. We have to have AI policy. We have to have AI training in our schools so kids know what to do in order to, when they get out of school, be able to use jobs or have jobs within the AI environment. So I'm really fearful of what's happening, and we have to get ahead of it.
Thank you. We're going to go on to question 2, and it'll be a little bit more random on how you're called. And so in 30 seconds, You like that? So you gave a lot of important issues, but now we're going to ask you what is your absolute top priority, and you have 30 seconds to respond. And the first person will be candidate Van Wilpert.
Yes, okay, thank you. My top priority will be standing up to Donald Trump and making Congress a co-equal branch of government again that actually serves the American people, and unrigging the economy so that all of us can have a decent education, we can have a decent job creation, retirement with security. You know, it shouldn't just work for the ultra-wealthy in this country. It should work for all of us. And Donald Trump, meanwhile, is giving tax breaks to the ultra-wealthy while we're cutting Medicaid for trillions of dollars of Medicaid for people. The VA has to be protected so that our veterans actually have a place to go when they're in their elder years too. And these are the services I will protect from Donald Trump's chaos and corruption.
Thank you. Our next candidate to answer that question will be candidate Contreras.
Invoking the 25th Amendment and ensuring that we get rid of President Trump with articles of impeachment. I am part of that coalition. We need to stop him, and we need to take back control of the executive branch. It's gotten way too big, and for too long, both parties have not had an interest in reining in the powers of the executive. So that is a critical issue because I want to continue to have elections. I want to continue to have a democracy.
Thank you. Candidate Riker?
At the risk of sounding like a broken record, it's about putting cash back in the hands of people's pockets. We've seen this ping-ponging back and forth from Republicans to Democrats, from Obama to Trump to Biden to Trump, because people are saying the system isn't working for them. So when I've done my 120 listening tour sessions now in rooms like this, 5 town halls, the number one question I get is, how am I going to pay my groceries? How am I going to pay for my kids' childhood care? How am I going to make sure that my son can buy a home? I'm talking about the largest middle tax cut in history. And I promise you we'll be able to get Donald Trump to sign that even if he's still president, because he's going to want to put cash back in people's pockets as well.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens?
Yeah, so a couple of thoughts come to mind. One, we have to have more housing. Right now, we have a housing crisis. The other is we have to tackle homelessness, which goes along with that is drugs, and drugs coming across the border. We have to stop that. We see people dying on our streets. I've lived in San Diego, in the city of San Diego, for many years. And if you walk down the street, you run the risk of getting pushed in front of a car or a trolley, which has happened. People shooting up on the street. It's just terrible. And even in Palm Springs, where I live now, I'm seeing the homeless on the streets when it's 110 degrees. We have to solve that problem.
Thank you. Candidate Campa-Najjar?
All of these are symptoms of a bigger cause. We've seen the biggest transfer of power, economic and political, in human history. And it's because of one thing, Citizens United. We need to introduce an amendment to overturn Citizens United. If you do that, you push back the big gun lobby, big oil, big pharma, the military-industrial complex, and you unrig this economy, and you get people in office who are not profit makers but policy makers. If we do that, we will make sure that the symptom of this illness, that is Trump, will never happen again. But we have to introduce an amendment to overturn Citizens United.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez?
I've been in technology for 40 years. I've been for AI companies back 20 years ago. I've watched this evolution. You need congressmen who are technology savvy, who know how to control this. I am drafting regulations to have AI accountability, all right? Because there are going to be millions of jobs lost. All these billionaires are building fortresses to protect themselves with full anticipation that we'll have millions of unemployed people who cannot feed themselves or their families. Please go to my site and look at my act.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez?
So it's all about getting more money back into people's pockets. And everyone here is right. You know, all these solutions are great solutions. Definitely ending Citizens United is the beginning of it. We have to end the corruption first. And once we end the corruption, then we can address the issues behind the corruption. If we can't address the corruption first, we can't get Medicare for all because there's no one that's going to be on our side about it. We can't do things for our students. Most of small businesses can't thrive because they're being outcompeted by these large corporations.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna?
So for me, it definitely, one of the biggest things is accountability. Going after, like my colleague said, the political corruption that's been going on for years and years and years. Like I said, these are systemic problems that have been going on for too long. We need a clean house. We need to redo our budget. We have so much money coming into this country, and it's ridiculous the amount of money that's going to other countries that don't contribute to our daily lives. We have so many problems here that we need to fix. Homelessness, we have a huge problem with homelessness that we need to tackle. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're now ready to go on to question 3, which is also 30 seconds. And the question is, this new district is a large district. How will you ensure that you are representing the views and needs of all your constituents in this diverse congressional district? And we're going to start with candidate Contreras.
Unlike some of the representatives that we have now, I believe in participatory style government. I want you to participate. I don't want you to be surprised about a vote. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to have town halls. I love connecting with folks. It doesn't matter what your political views are, what your ideological views are. We are humans. We need to connect on that level, and we need to find solutions together, because 90% of what we want, like Medicare for all, affordable housing, more connection to resources, we all agree on that.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna. Sure. This new district is a large district. How will you ensure that you are representing the views and needs of all your constituents in this diverse congressional district?
So this district, the 48th, that has been redrawn now, has a huge Hispanic population, a huge senior population, a huge veteran population. And as a veteran myself, as a Hispanic male myself, single parent, I've gone from poor to middle class, which is a lot of what makes up the district. We have a lot of farm owners, we have a lot of farm workers, we have a lot of retirees in the district. And so that's where I have that connection with you, the constituents, So.
Thank you. Candidate Campa-Najjar.
Yeah, I'm committed to doing one town hall a month, whether it's in person or telephone town hall, but I'd prefer to do it in person. So I'll be out there talking to all of you. And this is a very diverse district. It goes from the border all the way to Palm Springs. It's the biggest military community in the country. 1 in 3 residents is Latino. There's young people, young at heart people, LGBTQ community throughout our district, especially in Palm Springs, and we have to be everywhere. So I plan to have an office here in this district in North County, also a district office in the Palm Springs area or Riverside area. We have to be everywhere all the time, all at once, but I also need you to be my eyes and ears on the ground so we could listen, learn, and lead together.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
One of the complaints that I heard when I was out knocking on doors and talking to people, Isa did not talk to them. He did not meet with them. I said, I am never going to be like that. I will meet with every one of you if I can, but I'm a technologist, so I do want to set up a mandatory survey for every time you interact with a congressman or a staff member, you get to rank them. And everybody's going to see those rankings, Google reviews, Yelp, whatever. We don't have that right now. We don't have a way of voicing our discontent with those individuals and have it structured. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens.
For almost a decade, I was the assistant superintendent for the San Diego County Office of Education, and our territory was the whole county. I was out in school districts from Borrego Springs, Escondido, Fallbrook, San Ysidro, all throughout the county. Almost every day I was out at a district. I went and met with parents, I met with teachers, I met with students, did professional development for those teachers, and as the congressional member, I'll do the same thing. I love the community. I know it very well. So I look forward to representing the community as a congressman instead of an assistant superintendent.
Thank you. Candidate Riker.
So since I launched this campaign, I've now done, as I mentioned, 120 listening tour sessions. Our 121st is tonight in Temecula. That's one every 3 days. I've done 5 town halls. We just found out our Palm Springs town hall on April 25th is so oversold, we're going to have to get a second one in May. I'm going to have 6 more town halls before the end of this election. The only way you know the issues that matter most to the voters and to be a good member of Congress is by having those conversations. And I will promise you this. I have my card on me. I have 700 active volunteers. They all have my cell phone number. It's not always the best decision. But if you have an issue, feel free to call me.
Thank you. Candidate Von Wilbert?
Yes, I believe one thing that politicians don't do enough is listen. I don't think we listen enough to each other as community members, as neighbors. You know, we're inundated with our phones and talking heads on the news, and we're not listening as Americans anymore like we used to. And so I have been governing in the city of San Diego for going on 6 years. It's the 8th largest city in the nation, and I always answer the phone. I have town halls, I have community meetings, and even if I know I'm not going to agree with someone, I still take their meeting because listening is more important than ever. I also bought new tires on my car for Christmas, so I've been all up and down this district.
Thank you. So now we're going on to a question that actually is speed.
All right, yeah. So the way that I would, well, first of all, I live in a very perfect area for the district. It's about an hour away from Palm Springs and about an hour away from North County. So I'm always everywhere. I actually am door knocking almost every single day with my team. And I think that's really important. It's important to talk to the people of the community. I live in the community. I have my family lives there. My wife works there. My kids go to school in this district. So it's really important to actually talk to the members of the community always.
Thank you, and I apologize. Well, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we're going to do a speed round. So you won't be timed, but you're asked to just give a one-sentence respond. Not a complex sentence, one sentence. Okay? Okay. And the question is, how often will you hold town halls? And we're going to start with candidate O'Neill.
Again, I don't want to be limited to time and space. I want to create technology so I can talk to you constantly. Hear surveys, get responses, tabulate them, and then hold them accountable, right? If I got 100,000 people simply saying this person should go, guess what? They should go.
Speed round. Okay, next we have candidate Riker.
At least 1 week a month, weekend, 4 in a day. I've done it before. Happy to do them. I'll be everywhere like I already am.
Thank you. Candidate Von Wilpert.
Yes, I'm committed to holding town halls every weekend that I can. I mean, I already am doing that in my city council seat. Before I got here, I was just speaking at a local Rotary luncheon. I'll go to any audience, invite me, and I'd love to come talk to your group. So thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez.
I would love to go once a week. And if I'm in Washington, D.C., we'll do it remotely, but once a week, no matter what.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens.
Yeah, I love meeting with people in the district, and I'll be doing it virtually and in person. I'll do it probably about once a week.
Candidate Reyna.
With today's technology and being able to do things online and in person and hybrid, realistically and understanding how people's time works, I would safely say once a month, along with a second meeting, once every quarter.
Thank you. Candidate Contreras.
Multiple times a week between in-person and virtual, and even on days like today, that's my birthday.
Oh, sorry. So who didn't I call on? Because I've got a problem with my birth. So sorry. Candidate, this is the nightmare stuff for me, right?
You're doing great.
Please.
I feel like I got to one-up them. Okay, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're going to do town halls every single day. No, but seriously, town hall once a week, but you'll hear from me regularly on social media. I feel like with the incoming from this president, we got to do it every single day. And when I worked for Obama, the president would read 10 letters a day, and one of my jobs was to select those 10 letters a day. And it made me feel like here's the president connecting with the everyday person every night. So if he wasn't busy enough, we shouldn't be. And I'll be doing a town hall once a week, and I'll do one better. My ballot designation on the guide has my phone number, so you can find it there and call me anytime.
Okay, I guess we're going to have to review the speed round question. Okay, we're ready to go on to another topic, and this one is housing and affordability. And this is where we're going to do 4x4, which means we have two related questions on housing and affordability. The first question will go to 4 candidates, and the second to the remaining 4. And you'll have a minute. Okay, so the first question is, what ideas do you have for Congress to address local housing costs that are among the highest in the nation? And the first candidate to talk will be candidate Chavez.
Housing is really big for me. When I started this campaign, I said, I'm not an expert and I need to know what to do. So I went out and spoke to the experts about this issue. And one of the main things that I found was that Wall Street and foreign investors are buying up our homes. Over 25% of our homes are being purchased by foreign investors or Wall Street. We need to ban Wall Street landlords because single-family homes are for families, not for investment properties. That's the main thing. Secondly, we need to give home builders tax credits and liaisons that help them go through all the regulations that they need to go through. There are so many government regulations that they need to pass through in order to actually get one community built. We need to be able to streamline that system. Not cut the red tape because it's important, but streamline it so that they can actually build the homes and make them affordable. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Raina?
You know, I agree with streamlining a lot of this. We have a lot of land here in California that's available. A lot of it, unfortunately, it's not zoned correctly. And getting that rezoned, it's a nightmare trying to go navigate that process. But we have the land, we have the availability, we have the money. As a former property manager for one of the largest companies here on the West Coast, you know, a lot of the real estate, a lot of the land is owned by foreign investors. A third of our real estate here in California alone is owned by China. So those are the things that we need to start correcting. We need to put ownership back into Americans' hands.
Thank you. Candidate Von Wilbert?
So I've already been working on bringing down the cost of housing. You know, in the city of San Diego, we started the Affordable Permit Now program to put affordable housing developers to the front of the permit line. Make sure that they can get through in 30 days to get housing built, because time is money. We just built affordable housing in Rancho Bernardo in my district, close to the transit line, which is amazing. I'm also requiring developers to pay their fair share. Lennar built 800 townhomes up in the Coral Mountain Ranch area, and I said, how are teachers going to afford this? And they said, Marnie, they're not. They're going to be priced at $800,000 a unit. So I required them to do $1 million down payment assistance funds. Local teachers can actually get strings-free grants to buy houses in the areas where they teach, and it's working. And I'm proud to be endorsed by the teachers union and the firefighters union and the nurses union, because they know I will stand up for working folks' ability to get housing. Finally, we have to stop spending money on foreign wars in the Middle East, and we have to start spending it here at home, including getting HUD to fix its problems and fund affordable housing, especially for seniors.
Thank you. Candidate Campa-Najjar?
I mean, the reality is that this county is one of the most expensive counties to live in the country. We're the richest and poorest state in the union. We haven't done enough. And my colleagues did hit on some good points. China does own a lot of these private equity firms, and they build housing and property around military installations to spy on us. So it's not just an economic issue, it's a national security issue. What we need to do is reinvest our trillions of dollars a year that we spend and reground it and invest it in people. So there's a bill out there from Senator Raphael Warnock in Georgia. His proposal is a $25,000 down payment for first-time home buyers, people who are in that Goldilocks zone. They're not rich enough to afford the market value of a home, but they're not low income enough to get subsidies. We need to look out for them as well. So I think there's 3 things we could do. Those investments, we have to build more inventory, we need more housing, and we need to make sure that we raise wages in this country. So I believe in supporting a federal minimum wage increase tied to inflation for corporations that are large, not small businesses, but large corporations. Do it, there's a slogan, 30 by 2030. Start that with large corporations so people could afford to own a home in the state.
Thank you. Now we're going to go to the second related topic, which is still under housing and affordability, with 1 minute for the remaining 4 candidates. How would you use your position in Congress to address the issue of homelessness? And we're going to start with candidate Contreras.
Well, I'm going to work off of the progress that I've made in the city of Vista. We have an award-winning strategic plan to address homelessness. We have a lot of different tools in our toolkit. And I see exactly, I asked for the data, and to give you an example, we, out of 272 people that are using our safe parking, 200 have a disability. So for me, I'm going to use my power to ensure that we are bringing the resources to the local municipalities, to the county, with data-driven and results-based, because we can't waste our taxpayer money on solutions that never materialize but were promised. We need to deal with the situation because folks are vulnerable and it's getting hotter and hotter, and I'm very concerned about the unsheltered population, and the fastest growing demographic, unfortunately, is seniors. So if we do not address this issue, people will continue to die on the streets.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
Homelessness is a multifaceted problem. I worked at a church volunteering to feed people for 2 years. I got to see it up front personal. The drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental illness. But the fact is they don't have a home. And I'm simply looking at the future of robots, 1 billion of them being built in the next 3 years. And I'm personally tweeting, texting Elon Musk and said, if you're going to build 1 billion robots, make sure they can build a house. Make sure they can feed people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Candidate Riker.
So Karina hit on a really good point, which is that one of the largest growing portions of people who are unhoused is seniors, and there's a big reason for that. It's getting more and more expensive to stay in people's homes. Homeowners insurance is going up. This is a beautiful community. I'm guessing HOA fees aren't exactly cheap, and Social Security isn't keeping up with that cost. And that is a serious problem and something we need to tackle, which is why I've once again been calling for the elimination of the FICA cap at $184,000, so Social Security continue to increase so people can stay in their homes. We have to tackle homeowners insurance, making it a federal program so in areas especially affected by wildfire, people can afford to stay in their homes and they don't have to worry about selling at a loss and then wondering where they're going to end up living. But when it comes to homelessness for a broad section of the population, this is something the government has struggled in, something I'm proud to bring my business expertise and as an economist to. We need results-oriented successes. We can't just say this is what we're going to do. Palm Springs, for example, we just built a navigation center. It's doing amazingly well, but we had trouble turning on the power because we didn't have a substation. That should have been dealt with ahead of time, not in the past. If I get to Congress, that's something I can help appropriate money for.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens.
Yeah, first, one of the things that I keep hearing about with homelessness, everyone keeps treating them like a monolithic block of people, the homeless. We got to recognize that we have women who are escaping a violent environment. We have families. We have children. When I was assistant superintendent, I was at the Monarch School, which is a school for homeless kids in Barrio Logan. And I saw the families, I saw the kids. So really we need to start looking at how do we keep kids in homes? How do we stop people from going into homelessness in the first place? And then we have to look at our policies. Housing First hasn't worked. It worked somewhat, but if we don't hold people accountable to go into treatment and to be able to use the resources at their hands, a lot of times what's happening is they're ODing in their house or the hotel that the city may provide for them. So we really have to look at all the different factors that are going into homelessness and solve for it. But I'm really advocating for personal responsibility to get into treatment. In some cases, we have to do it through a care court and have them go into treatment. I just got stopped, so thanks.
Thank you all for abiding by the time limits. I appreciate it. Okay, so staying on the topic of affordability, for 30 seconds, you'll have 30 seconds to say, name one specific federal tax you would eliminate or subsidy you would propose that would help lower the cost of living here in San Diego? And that, we're going to start with candidate Contreras.
Well, we're really fortunate here in San Diego County. We have the most small farms out of all the counties in the United States. And one of the things that we need to do is we need to connect our local farmers and homesteaders to the market. It is incredibly difficult for them to connect to the market. We can have fresh produce. We should have fresh produce delivered to people where they're at, because you might not be able to have the transportation necessary, and we need to have credits from the federal government to be able to purchase good food.
Thank you. Next candidate is Campa-Najjar. Staying on the topic of affordability, name one specific federal tax you would eliminate or subsidy you would propose that would help lower the cost of living here in San Diego.
Yeah, I think the fact that we spend more money on ICE than we do on the Marines is a problem. I think we need to draw down those costs, and we have to restructure and we have to dismantle ICE so that they're not attacking Americans and residents, and use those billions of dollars to actually save people's lives instead of trying to kill them in this country. And I think that we have to reduce our defense spending as well so that we stop bombing schools and hospitals abroad and build them here at home.
Thank you. Candidate Riker.
Elimination of the FICA tax on the first 50 grand. 6 point. I mean, I just getting the question over and over again, but it's seriously, it's a 7% increase back into everyone's pocket. It'd be the largest pay increase in American history. It'd be the largest middle class tax cut. It's doable. It's in the paycheck. It's not at tax time. It's in every single paycheck. 7%. Just think about what that would do to help people with the cost of living in this country. But also, the other piece we got to do, it's a subsidy. It's actually a tax I would add. We got to tax capital gains over $1 million out on our primary homes so that we can start getting real revenue in this country.
Thank you. Candidate Von Wilpert.
When I get to Congress, I'm going to fight hard to undo the 2017 permanent tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy that Donald Trump and Darrell Issa put in. They need to pay their fair share so we protect programs like Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. I would also restore the affordable tax, the ACA tax subsidies so that people can buy health care on the market that they can afford. We have to restore the child tax credit, which brought children out of poverty in this nation, and make sure that we're not taxing the lowest income people, but that ultra wealthy are paying their fair share in this nation.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna.
So definitely, reinstating a lot of those tax cuts for middle America is definitely one of the biggest solutions that we have. The other thing, too, is about 60 years ago, we had a tariff imposed on light-duty trucks. Now, I love my American Chevy truck, but it is too expensive to drive. And in California, that is one of the biggest problems here in California is logistics. As much as we want to get food from farm to table, to the store, to the community, logistics, cutting down the fuel cost is definitely very important. So.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez.
So I have actually the same idea. Brandon and I have been saying it for a while. My idea is with $80,000 instead of $50,000, and we uncap the FICA tax. But on top of that, we've ran the numbers, and if we just taxed transactions on the stock market at 0.3%, which is less, 1/3% pretty much, you would actually gain more revenue than uncapping, than taking away taxes from the bottom the people that make $80,000 or less. So you would actually make up the difference and receive more tax revenue by doing so.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens.
I hate to admit it, but I spent 11 years working at the Franchise Tax Board, and I lived and breathed tax. And I have to say, I agree with Marnie. We have to realign the tax at the federal government to be more progressive for people that are making billions of dollars. And it has to align with California as well. We pay the highest taxes in the country. So if we're going to realign the federal government, we have to realign California's tax laws too.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
I came out of UCSD back in the 80s, but I really love my professors because we looked at systems wholly. Technology, religion, economy, etc. And I'm simply saying there's a possibility to have a sustained abundance for all, that we would have robots that would actually grow gardens for every home. They call them victory gardens back in World War II. We encourage people to be independent, self-sufficient. That's what Americans do. All right? So I'm encouraging these robots that Musk talks about all day long. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going on to the next question, which is about health care. And it's going to be a speed round, and you're going to get one word, okay? One word. Okay, and I'll give you the words that you'll be able to use. Would you repeal, modify, or expand the Affordable Care Act? And the words are repeal, modify, or expand, okay? All right, and we're going to go, the first candidate is candidate Reyna.
I would modify.
Okay, candidate O'Neill.
Innovate.
Candidate Contreras.
Expand Medicare for all.
Candidate Clemens.
I'd expand it.
Candidate Chavez.
Expand Medicare for all.
Candidate Campa-Najjar.
Expand.
Candidate Riker.
Expand.
Candidate Van Wilpert.
I would expand.
All right. Did much better on that speed. Okay. We're moving on to immigration. So it's going to be one of those 4x4s again. Okay. We'll again take the next two questions on the topic of immigration and have four candidates answer the first question, and the remaining four will answer the second, and you get 1 minute. Okay? So, starting with candidate Contreras, what are your priorities for immigration reform?
First of all, we need to defund ICE. We need to take a hard look at DHS. We didn't have DHS until 9/11 and the Patriot Act. And we need a real path to citizenship. Both parties have kicked this down the road. If you have committed no crimes and you've been here for 10 years, where is the system for you? It's not working. So we need to also fund more positions at the federal government to help folks navigate through the broken system as we're fixing it. Because this is government, I'm in government, it takes a long time. We need to get started now. And those positions are not there because DOJ decided to cut all these federal positions like if we didn't need them. So, secondly, I have doubled down on making sure that FLOC and big tech billionaires stay out of our community. In the city of Vista, we're the only contract city that doesn't have mass surveillance and ALPR, and I have kept my community safe.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens.
Yeah, what we're doing today isn't working. I mean, the fact that we're seeing American citizens have their doors broken in, arrested, run around the block, brought back to their homes. I mean, we're stomping on the Constitution. It's really terrible what we're seeing. But we do have to have secure borders. And we do have to recognize that in California, we are kind of a binational community. So we do have to have the ability for back and forth immigration for workers, for skilled workers, for agriculture, for building. So I want to make sure that we reform what we have. We also have to have a pathway to citizenship. We have to protect our DACA, our dreamers, which we're not doing today. And we have to make sure that drugs are not coming across the border as well, because drugs are contributing to homelessness, they're contributing to crime. So we do have to make sure we have secure borders. But what we're doing today with ICE, it is just not working.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna.
So one of the big problems that we have with immigration, besides the fact that it's a broken system, is we have men and women who are recruited to our military, who serve our country, fight in our wars, come back home, and then they're deported. We have a huge number of veterans that have been deported, not just in Mexico. This is a problem that affects everyone. We recruit people from all over the world, from Africa, from the Pacific Islands, all over. And so this is a problem. If anybody needs to be fast-tracked onto a pathway to citizenship, are those that protect our rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
My grandfather was Catholic. He was designated as a priest, so he ran away from home and came in down to the United States through Canada. My mother's family is from Spain. I love immigrants. I am an immigrant. But please, when you come here, swear an allegiance to this country.
Thank you. So the second question is, what does it mean to you to secure the border? And we're going to start with candidate Chavez.
This is a great question. So, securing the border, first of all, my parents were immigrants. They were undocumented. They came 50 years ago, and they got their citizenship 25 years ago. It took way too long to get their citizenship, but securing the border means having a system between nations where we actually get to document people and say, okay, well, is this person a criminal? Is this person not a criminal? It's important to actually know so that we can process people quickly with judges and actually have a judge that can say, this person can come in. We give them what's called a, I'm blanking out on it right now. I always say it. It's an ITIN. It's an ITIN. So an ITIN is like a work visa so that they can actually pay their taxes. And once you've paid your taxes for 5 years, if you paid your taxes for 5 years and not committed any crimes, then you should be eligible for citizenship. You are working as an American, you're paying your taxes.
Thank you. Candidate Von Wilpert.
Thank you. My father also was not born in this country. He immigrated after World War II in Europe, and I wouldn't be here if we didn't value immigrants in America. He then proudly served his country in the U.S. Army. I believe we can have a strong, secure border. I grew up in San Diego. We can have a border that stops drugs and guns and bad actors, and have a border that promotes trade and family members and economic viability and students. We also need to stop what's happening with ICE. This is unconstitutional. They should have warrants. They shouldn't be wearing masks. We have to have an immigration system that provides a viable pathway to citizenship that doesn't cost people decades of their life or thousands of dollars. We broke our promise to the DACA students so long ago, the dreamers who've done nothing but the right thing and deserve to be citizens in this country. And we need to have a government that promotes dignity and respect for all people and get back to those American values and make this the America that we want to see once again.
Thank you. Candidate Campa-Najjar.
I don't talk about it as border solution. I think about it more border security. I think about it more as border solutions, right? And we have to humanize these folks. Look, my parents, my mother's side came from Mexico. My father came leaving a war zone in the Middle East to find a better life here. And they contribute to our economy and way of life every single day. These immigrants are your hospital worker who takes care of you when you're sick. They're the teacher that takes care of your students and your family members. They're the farm workers who are literally feeding your families. 95% of the people who've been detained by ICE are not criminals. They've not committed any dangerous offense. So we need smart border solutions. We need to improve our ports of entry, and we have to figure out how to make comprehensive immigration reform happen in this country. And I believe every single legal resident who's not committed a crime should be allowed to live in this country. Dreamers should have citizenship, and those who swear an oath to our military who are undocumented should be at the front of the line to become American citizens. So that's what I think. We have to destigmatize this and work on the solution. There was a time when Reagan and Bush used to fight about who was more pro-immigrant. We got to get back to that again.
Thank you. Candidate Riker.
So we 100% need a secure border, but the way you don't do it is by building a 20-foot wall, because I'll show you a 25-foot ladder. But the truth of the matter is we can use smart technology to know who's coming across the border. We need to know who's coming in. We need to document it. We need to have a process. We need way more asylum judges in this country so people don't have to wait 10 years to figure out whether they're going to be allowed to stay or whether they have to go. But one of the things that this administration has done that's going to cause an immigration crisis in the future is it got rid of USAID. And when you think about our foreign aid budget, in my non-running for Congress life, I serve on the organization that does refugee relief in Africa. And I can tell you this, most refugees, most immigrants, they don't want to be refugees. They don't want to be immigrants. They're fleeing a war zone. They're fleeing famine. They're fleeing persecution. We have to be, as America, investing in those areas, creating economic growth, creating security so China and Russia don't come in and create vacuums of chaos. So, yes, we need a secure border, but that secure border starts well before with foreign aid, and that's something I'd be proud to restore when I get back to Congress.
Thank you. So we're going to have another speed round. One word. Well, it's somewhat related. Should ICE agents be required to follow the same rules and regulations as other law enforcement officials? And you have a yes or a no answer. And we're going to start with candidate Von Wilpert.
Heck yeah, they should.
Candidate Riker.
Yes.
Candidate O'Neill.
Yes.
Candidate Chavez.
Yes.
Candidate Clemens.
Yes.
Candidate Reyna.
Yes.
Candidate Contreras.
Yes.
Candidate Campa-Najjar.
Yes.
Okay. Good job on speed round. Okay. We also have another 30-second one that was submitted, and it asks whether, and so we're going to give you 30 seconds, whether or not you would support ICE if it performed on what it was intended to do when it was first put into place. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay, let me do it again. So, would you support ICE if it was doing what it was initially intended to do? Pre-Trump, okay. ICE. I see. Is that okay? Okay, 30 seconds. We're ready? All right, thank you. Okay, so we're going to go with candidate Von Wilpert first. 30 seconds.
What I'm going to fight for in Congress is actual comprehensive immigration reform that functions in this country. We are a border region. We know what it means to have a binational economy and value immigrants. We also know what it means to fight and make sure bad actors, drugs, and guns don't come through our border. I'm also going to fight to make sure that immigrants are treated with dignity and respect, and that we do recruit brilliant students from around the world, for example, to be at our universities, to help start innovations in this country. I mean, the fact that an H-1B visa is now so expensive means we can't recruit the best and the brightest to help with new medicines in our nation. And so that's what I will fight for.
Thank you. Candidate Riker.
So when ICE was created, it came out of the INS, which was the system ahead of it. And that ICE had to get formed because the INS became too toxic. So the problem we have is that right now, because we have ICE under Homeland Security, not under the Department of Justice, we're not actually getting justice out of it. What we're getting is a militarized police force. And so if we returned ICE back to the Department of Justice and its mission was to actually do immigration customs enforcement, then yes, I would support it. But the way it is currently structured under a militarized Department of Homeland Security, we can't have that anymore.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez.
No, the way that ICE is currently structured, we need to dismantle what it is, and we can have a different program, one that wasn't trained the way it is, and if people are being specifically targeted, like actual criminals that have actually committed a crime, then those people should not be in our country. But the way that ICE is targeting people, this organization needs to end completely the way it is.
Thank you. Okay. Candidate Clemens.
Unfortunately, ICE and Department of Homeland Security under Kristi Noem has really lost its mission completely. So in a lot of ways, we have to dismantle the whole thing and take it apart and re-put it back together with a mission that has comprehensive immigration reform, Homeland Security, TSA, all of the missions that are supposed to be done in those departments completely realigned. It's going to take a lot of work because I think a lot has been done to trample on our Constitution, and a lot of the people that have been hired are just rogue. I mean, anybody on the street who's shooting people, shooting Americans, is completely rogue.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna.
So to answer your question, prior to everything that's been going on now with ICE, had they done their job according to their mission initially, most of us up here, I'm sure, would have supported them. Most of you in the audience would have supported them. Most of us did when they first decided to come out and introduce what they wanted to do. What we have now is completely the opposite. We have a militarized enforcement agency with no accountability. And we definitely need to dismantle that and restructure it in a way that serves our interest and serves our domestic security. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Contreras.
Well, as someone who grew up with INS coming to their door, I understand that ICE and INS are very similar. And we're never going to be able to go back to a place that doesn't have mass surveillance because too many cities, like City of San Diego, have blanketed this region and across the nation with flock. That's why they're building these big data centers. That's why there's zone flips happening everywhere. We are never going to go back to a place where people can't get hunted down unless we stop mass surveillance.
Thank you. Candidate Campa-Najjar.
I don't think the problem with ICE is the boilerplate's bad and the mission needs to be rewritten. The whole thing is full of cancer. It's metastasized. Everything from how they recruit $50,000 to jump in, 47 days of training because that's the president's number, 47th. The whole thing doesn't work. So we can't just give it a rename. I don't have sentimental feelings about ICE. It's not in the Constitution. There are legitimate parts that we need to be able to do, but we have to dismantle and create a new agency. It's only 24 years old. We need to create a new one to deal with the legitimate problems we have. There are some people that we have to deal with, but we don't need ICE anymore.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to natural resources. It's going to be for 1 minute. And the question is, what would you do as a congressperson to address wildfire risk and water scarcity in Southern California? For example, there are challenges in the 48th district that include Lake Hodges Dam. Okay, so the first person that's going to be answering this is candidate Contreras.
Well, you mentioned Lake Hodges, which has been completely just not taken care of by the city of San Diego. It's unfortunate. There's been a lot of negligence there. But listen, we need to ensure that we connect people in a safe manner. We need to build modern infrastructure, whether that is making sure it's an affordable train ride between Riverside County and San Diego County, making sure that we have adequate firefighter resources and the stations necessary, and also hardening and making sure that our electrical grid is resilient so we can generate local solar and we don't have to build these mega transmission lines that just get passed down as part of your bill. And lastly, we need to take a holistic approach to climate change and ensure that we're putting our native plants back in the ground, that we take traditional ecological knowledge and work with our tribal governments to restore the stewardship of this land.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
It is a fact that LA burned. There was no water for the system, for the firefighters. That was a gross, gross error. That needs to be corrected.
Thank you. Candidate Contreras? I'm sorry. No, that's okay. So sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for keeping me straight. Campa-Najjar, please. Candidate Campa-Najjar.
Yeah, this is what we could do without this ICE funding. We could refund the EPA, right? We could re-enter the Colorado water treaties. We could do defensive spacing in those high fire communities. And we should join the Paris Climate Agreement again. These are things we could do and use technology to work for us, because right now it's a competition, not just for the environment, but innovation against China. So we have to diversify our portfolio. We need to invest in renewable energy. And I actually believe that climate change is the biggest threat that we face in this world as a national security threat. Mudslides, hurricanes, fires are impacting our military capabilities. We have this review every single year. So we need to have a World War II mobilization to combat climate change. We need to have a climate corps that guarantees a job for everybody who wants to have a job. It could be good for our economics, good for our innovation, good for our global competitiveness, and good for the environment. The only planet that we have. We can't get this wrong. We have to do this with urgency and use innovation to do desalination to make sure people have more clean water. We have to have an all-of-the-above approach to solving climate change.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez?
So I just went to the water district over there at Lake Hodges, and I'm actually endorsed by Suzanne Till. She's the vice president of the water district there, and it's actually really interesting to go to the water district. There's so many different solutions that we can do, but the main thing is that desalinization is much too expensive. We're buying the water for a 4,000 square foot acre. So essentially, that's the highest water bill in the entire nation. And what we can actually be buying it for is reusable water. We can actually reuse our water and filter it the correct way, put it back into Lake Hodges, and then actually have drinkable water. And that would be at least half the cost of what we have it at right now. We also need to be able to collect our rainwater. We go into a drought, and then we have a flood when we have a rain. So we need to be able to collect the rainwater correctly and then put it back into our dams so that we can actually use it.
Thank you. Candidate Riker?
So when it comes to forest fires, I don't know how many of you can see Mount San Jacinto, which is the kind of one thing you can see through a large portion of this congressional district. There is no snowpack right now. It's a very scary time of year not to have a snowpack. And I live in Palm Springs. We have the rainiest summer we've ever had in memory. Climate change is screwing up the weather patterns, and this is becoming a real problem. Fire season is now year-round. So there's a couple of things we can practically do. We can harden homes by giving fire-retardant shingles, making sure we have fireproof panels on the outsides or on decks so that homes don't catch when the amber hits. But the real crisis here is we have to get a cap-and-trade program so that we can start eliminating and limiting how much CO2 we put in the air, reward companies that are able to figure out how to do it, punish those that can't, so we can begin to actually reverse the effects of climate change. But in the short run, we've got to get to recycled water. That is a critical piece. We think about all the runoff we have, all the new roads being built across this state that is just running off into the aquifers without being cleaned. If we can capture that, recycle it, we can continue to live this life we live here in Southern California, which is beautiful.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna?
Infrastructure-wise, we have a lot of potential, again, to reroute that water to get it cleaned for our consumption, for our use. But California has had a real problem with resource management. We allow these big corporations to have a say on our natural resources, and it shouldn't be like that. It should be up to us, the everyday citizen, the people that live here, the innovators. You know, we have huge opportunities here in California with desalination, with solar, with wind, with all these different technologies. But again, it comes down to government support. It comes down to the lobbies, these big oil companies that are suppressing these technologies. And once we do away with that, then we can bring back the creativity to the everyday American that, you know, come up with these solutions, come up with these innovations as everyone has done so in the past. So we need to get back to that.
Thank you. Candidate Clemens?
Yeah, a couple things come to mind. One, our water system is very fragile, and California was built in some cases in the early 20s. We need to invest in our water system. It's a complex network of federal government, California regulation, it's agriculture, it's urban cities, all vying for the same water. So we have to build on that infrastructure. The second thing that comes to mind is climate change. While I was an executive at the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, we wrote one of the most ambitious zero carbon plans in the country, all while keeping rates low. Our rates were 18 cents a kilowatt. Here in Southern California, Edison and SDG&E, the rates are about 45 to some cases 58 cents a kilowatt, which is really gets back to affordability, right? And if a small utility in Sacramento can keep rates low and do a zero carbon plan, we can do that down here in Southern California as well. So we have to manage the environment. Keeping in mind as well, because of some utilities that didn't manage their infrastructure well, they caused some of the forest fires, as we know.
Thank you. Candidate Von Wilpert?
Yes, one of the main reasons I'm running for Congress is that I believe we have to protect this planet for the next generation and defend our natural resources. You know, in the city of San Diego, we've worked to get the whole entire city infrastructure, Petco Park Stadium, the San Diego International Airport switched to 100% clean, renewable energy. We also invested $60 million to get public charging stations for electric vehicles so we can have clean emissions vehicles all throughout our region. And guess what? The price tag on the solar panels I just voted to put on the roofs of our public buildings went up by over $8 million because Donald Trump has repealed the environmental sustainable tax credits that were passed by the bipartisan infrastructure law. I know what it means to deliver big public dollars for our residents, and that's what I'm going to do in Congress. Lake Hodges Dam, I grew up with it. It was built before women had the right to vote in this country, and it wasn't maintained for decades. I will fight in Congress to make sure we do bring dollars home, to build the infrastructure we need, create the good green jobs of the future, and stop Donald Trump from ruining our environment.
Thank you. And I've been notified that this is going to be the last question before we go into closing. Time flies, huh? So we're going to do it as a speed round to make it easy on myself and so I won't make another grid mistake. We're just going to start down at the very end with you, candidate Chavez. And it's a speed round, yes or no answer. Do you support term limits for the Supreme Court?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Mike Levin endorsement. He's leading the charge on that. So yes.
Okay.
Yes.
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 Okay, very well done. You might lead those speed rounds in. So, before we move to closing statements, I'd like to thank the candidates for agreeing to be here today and to the audience for your thoughtful questions and for coming to learn more about the candidates seeking to represent you. Thank you. We'd like to remind people that democracy is not a spectator sport. Thank you for getting into the game, and we hope you will encourage your family and friends to vote. Thank you again to the Ocean Hills Defending Democracy Community Group for their time and effort in helping to arrange this forum. And I must say I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters team for their support and also how kind you were about my goofs. So, a few reminders. The Registrar of Voters will begin mailing ballots to all active registered voters beginning around May 2nd. The last day to vote is June 2nd. Please take a look. We have posters that have our trusted resources like Vote 411 and the Easy Voter Guide, where you can get nonpartisan, accurate election information. Just point your camera at the QR codes to go directly to these websites. Lastly, if you would like to help us in our mission to make democracy work for everyone, we encourage you to become a member of the League of Women Voters North County or support us with a donation of any amount. While our name is the League of Women Voters, we're open to everyone. So join us or support us with a donation. It's easy to do. Visit our website at lwvncsd.org. Now for the closing statements. Candidates have 1 minute to share their final thoughts with you. They will go in random order as determined prior to the candidate forum. So let's see. First, 1 minute, and closing statements start with candidate Von Wilpert.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me, and thank you to League of Women Voters. I've been fighting for our communities my entire career, and I'm going to be the fighter we need in Washington, D.C. to stand up to Donald Trump. And I want to thank you for being engaged in your democracy. There is no cavalry coming to save us with what's happening in D.C. We are the cavalry coming to save us. And thank you to the League for standing up for our voting rights. We have to get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed when we get to Congress. And I know there's a lot of horrible things going on in the world, but when I get down about things, I think about my grandfather. He was born in 1919, and my family recently lost him at 102 years old. And he was born before women had the right to vote in this country. So his mother, my great-grandmother, did not have the right to vote when he was born. And my grandfather lived long enough to see his only granddaughter run for office and win. And so I know that there is hope in this nation, and we can't give up on the America that we want to see. And that's what we're doing today. So thank you for being part of your democracy. Marnie Von Wilpert, I'd love to earn your support.
Thank you. Candidate Clements. I'm sorry, no applause to the end, okay? You've been so good. Usually I do more of this. So thank you, and lots of applause at the end, okay? Thank you. Candidate Clements.
So thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you for being here. I'm not a politician. This is my first candidate forum. although I'm used to speaking in front of people because I work in the electric industry. I go to a variety of shows where I'm helping people to modernize their grid. A little more about me. I'm a third-generation Californian. My great-grandfather came to Los Angeles because California at the time was the hope and dream for the world. I mean, everybody wanted to be in California. My mother grew up here. If she was in Los Angeles, started a small business. And what I hope for in Congress is to bring that hope and dream of California back again, to where we can have housing, we have jobs, we're able to build, and it's not, right now we're seeing so much in terms of income disparity. I want to see people be able to flourish and have families and buy homes. That's what I want to do to Congress. I want to have policies that help us, the people. Donald Trump isn't going to be there forever. But what we are going to have is a Congress that works for you, and I want to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Contreras.
Well, thank you all so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been able to lead my city since 2018, the city of Vista, just right here. We're safer, we're more connected to resources, and that's what I'm going to do when I represent you in Congress. It is important that we fight for Medicare for all, that we ensure that we modernize our infrastructure because that creates really good jobs that can't be outsourced, and we need it. Our infrastructure has not received the funding that it needs. And also, listen, we need to hold this entire criminal family and criminal administration accountable, and we need to ensure that Donald Trump is impeached, and we need to invoke the 25th Amendment. I'm part of a Courage candidate coalition that is promising to do that on day one. I have a record that you can trust. I'm consistent. Take a look at me at Contreras for Congress. Look me up. I've done a great job in the city of Vista. I look forward to representing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Riker.
Well, I thank you all for being here. You know, one thing we talked about is representation when we started this conversation. As I mentioned, I've done 120 now listening tours throughout this district, 5 town halls. If you want to sign up for one, Riker for FORcongress.com. We've got 6 more before the end of the primary. But 3 things have become clear. One, this isn't an affordability crisis. It's a cost of living crisis. I laid out how I'm going to get the largest middle class tax cut done in Congress. The second piece is we have to hold this administration accountable, and we all have ideas how to do it, but it's got to start with making D.C. a state. Because we all watched an insurrection against the legislative branch by the executive branch on January 6th, and that can still happen because we haven't reined in the executive branch, even when the Democrats had the trifecta. So I promise you when I get to D.C., we're going to make D.C. a state. And the third thing is we have to start talking about what we're going to do after Donald Trump. We have to codify Roe v. Wade into law. We have to pass the Equality Act, so in the 20 states you can still be fired for being gay and it's no more. And we need to start dealing with climate change. So when I get to Congress, from day one until my last day there, I'm going to fight for the second New Deal. The first one took 10 years to pass. We are at a critical point in this moment where we can change America, and we have to do it again.
Thank you. Candidate Reyna.
First off, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us here today. So tonight, you know, you've heard a lot about politics. You heard a lot about parties and posturing, but here at home in the 48th, you know, we have some more really important questions that we got to answer. You know, the cost of living, the cost of housing, and the cost of our future. So we're asking a simple question, and who actually is fighting for us? You know, so I'm running as a no-party candidate, a no-party preference candidate, because this district deserves more accountability, more leadership, and more results. We don't need slogans. We need service. We need solutions. So as a veteran, you know, with talks of war looming over our heads, I don't take that serious. I don't take that lightly. As someone who's worn the uniform, I know the cost of war. And it's our daughters, our sons, our grandchildren, our brothers, our sisters. So again, thank you for your time, Luis Reyna for Congress.
Thank you. Candidate Campa-Najjar, please.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for those wonderful questions. I actually have one question of my own. I hear Jim Desmond lives in this community. Where is he? I heard he's running for Congress. Where are you, Jim? I know we ran Daryl Issa out of town and had a schedule. I wonder if we've done the same thing with Jim. So look, on a serious note, and I wanted to ask him this question, I'm a Navy reservist. If this war continues, there's a good chance that me and my shipmates will be deployed. And as reservists, we are prepared to defend the homeland. I hope it doesn't come to that, but we are prepared to do that. But I think America leads best not just by the example of its power, but the power of its example. And we have to restore the power to declare war to Congress. We have to keep our promise that this president made, which is to lower costs and end the wars. So I want to understand why Jim Desmond would go out there and say this war is justified when it's not authorized, and why he would claim the cost to us is a function of no pain, no gain. Long after the headlines are gone from this war, our communities will feel it for generations to come. Let's keep our promises and lead by the power of our example. I'd be honored to have your support.
Thank you. Candidate O'Neill.
As I said, I've never been in politics. I'm an engineer. I build solutions to hard problems. And I think we're facing some very difficult times ahead with artificial intelligence. There are thousands of people losing their jobs, and those companies have purposely designed systems to remove humans. They're not pro-human. As I started off with, I cared for my mother for 12 years. She was bedbound for 4.5 years. I changed diapers. That was my responsibility as a man, to protect my mother. And Senator Dianne Feinstein did the right thing. All right? So I will gladly praise a Democrat. And if you're a Republican and you do something wrong, I'm going after you. All right? I want a country that has ethics, that protects its citizens. Thank you for the time to speak to you.
Thank you. Candidate Chavez.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a wonderful forum. My name is Abel Chavez, and I'm a working class father. I've lived here my whole life, and I want to fight for you. It's important to have someone that actually cares and has values like yours, that has worked every single day to get to where they are, that cares about Medicare for all, that cares about getting ICE out of our streets, that cares and shows it by not taking money from corporations, not taking money from foreign lobbies. It's so important that we know where our candidates are getting their funding from, because that's who they're working for. And the only people that I'm working for is you. Thank you so much. My name is Abel Chavez. Go on abelchavezforcongress.com and find out how you can be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Candidates, we commend you for your courage and willingness to run for public office. Now, let's give them a round of applause.